Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome in from across the country for another very exciting Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. If you're joining us for the first time, like quite a few of you are today, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world, and everything we do goes to our YouTube channel. So if you want to check out this program in like 3 weeks, 3 years, like 4,000 other broadcasts with the coolest scientists and explorers on planet Earth, you can head there and do just that. Now, of all the days you could be joining us, I'm really happy you're here today because today we are, in a bittersweet way, wrapping up our series with our friends at Digital Moment. Digital Moment does a better job than literally any organization we've ever worked with at promoting digital literacy, bringing you the stories on AI, tech, and more. We've done a bevy of broadcasts with them. Again, they're all on our YouTube channel. Do check out their site for so much more to explore and discover. Now, if you've joined us for a Digital Moment program before, you'll know they're very interactive. So if you're on StreamYard, if you're on YouTube, keep your fingers at the keyboard so that you can join us to pop in, yell out some answers, and have some fun as we wrap up with AI from field to shelf. I can speak English. I do this job regularly. So other than my messed up intro, I'm going to turn you over to Herman at Digital Moment to blow your minds and to take us away. Herman, thank you so much for being here, and let's do this thing, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. As she said, so happy to have been able to run this series with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. Some of you were here yesterday, not yesterday, feels like yesterday, last week when we were talking about AI and resources and the way that is impacting the planet in training and in running it. But today, we're going to see other aspect. We might see some ways that is helping protect the planet. And how can we talk about AI and food? It's such a vast and interesting topic. Researching and going over the ideas, I found myself just taking things out. I believe we could have 5 sessions just on AI and food, but we're going to have one. I'm really happy that you're here today with us, and let's get us started. So, if we're talking about AI and food, I want us to start thinking about food and the food that we consume and where does it come from? How does it get to us? Who produces it? And how can we shift the way that things are done with AI? And does that bring us good results? Does it make things harder, easier, food tastier? Get out to us faster from different places, so many different ideas. So really happy to see you both on StreamYard and YouTube. And we're going to start with a slide that brings someone's lunch. This might be my lunch in about 1 hour, but it can be your lunch. It doesn't have to be this, but I want you to think about your lunch today. And if you're thinking that this is your lunch, maybe you didn't throw it up, but still all put together. But I want you to consider this. How many places do you think the ingredients in this lunch, the olives, the salt, the pepper, the cucumbers, the bread, the avocado, are they coming from? How many places did these ingredients visit? And this is, let's take a guess. Give us numbers in the chat or on YouTube. And I want to know, Jesse, how about your lunch today? How many places do you think it visited?
A lot. I'm going to also call an enunciation. Let's see what they think, and then I'll tell you about mine. What do we think, guys? 5, 10, 20 plus.
What's that?
How many places do you think that the ingredients have been before becoming someone's lunch?
What do you guys think?
You think
10 places.
a lot of 10. I had like a paneer, curry, chickpea, ricey thing. I'm going to say 20 plus because they didn't just come from the place. They had to go to another place. Then they probably had to go to another warehouse. Then they had to go to St. John's. Then they had to come to me in Corner Brook. Like I'm really at like the edge of the earth here. So I'm going to say 20 plus, Herman. And that's what you got on YouTube as well.
So that's super interesting because they have that 20 plus, 10 plus. And Jesse, you're a great example because how remote the area is within the supply chain. It might be even farther. Really interesting. Let's see what we have. We have this statistic that says that typically goes to 7 to 10 locations. And this is for regular meals. So the guess of 20 plus, 10 plus, it's also accurate depending when you are and depending on the ingredients that you're consuming and depends on the season. What if I want to eat watermelons during the summer? They're going to have to come from somewhere that is farther, and that might take more steps. And the other part that we didn't ask, but is really interesting, is that it can be handled by 30 plus people, each one of those ingredients. So the magic that we have nowadays on food on our table is impressive. So many things need to happen for this lunch, for your lunch to be at your disposal and at your table today. So the idea is that we have somebody has to plant and farm and produce, then somebody has to process those ingredients so they're ready to be packaged. Once they're packaged, they need to be wrapped properly. They need to be shipped to a supermarket or to an aggregation center, and then finally they make it to your plate. So the journey is a vast journey that each one of those ingredients is experiencing. So it's a marvel of modern society for us to be able to have the luxury to have all these ingredients and all these products available to our disposal. And they go through all these steps. Now, the question is, do you think that right now or in the future, AI can be part of any of these steps or all of these steps? Consider that question with what we've seen with AI, the knowledge you have with AI, and then if we're saying there's farming, packaging, plate, processing, can that be improved with AI? Usually, the interactions that you and I have with AI is asking a question. For example, I think this is one of the two images that I have created with AI, so I need to describe them and get the images. The other ones are by photographers and artists, so we get that, or we ask a question. I'm stuck, I'm trying to learn quadratic equations and I'm confused. Can you help me? So we're asking these questions. This is our regular interaction. But now we need to think, what about in the food process? In YouTube, we have ISS shipping. So shipping seems to be something that we might be familiar with. It's really interesting. Let's explore each one of them. We're going to start with farming, and we're going to see many of them, but I think farming is the one we're going to stay the longest. In YouTube, we also have Cole says probably all of them. Cole, you're correct. We're going to explore all of them and see how do we get to that. So farming, how can AI support farming? Farming traditionally and up to today, it has been done in very specific ways. And there are key elements within the farming process. We need to figure out when and how to plant. We need to figure out, once we plant, how do we provide water to those plants? How do we irrigate? Then we need to feed also the plants. We need to provide nutrition so the soil is healthy and fertile. Then we're going to have creatures. We're going to have other plants that are fighting with our plant. How do we manage that pest control? And after, we need to have a way to get all those things that we planted, vegetables, fruits, get them out of the soil and ready to be processed and shipped. So we're going to focus on those 5 elements. Let's start with the first one, planting. Traditionally, with planting, we have in most of them lots of human labor, lots of work that people need to do. And then we have done over the time crops that look like this. They have rows, they're very organized. So we need somebody to plan. How are we going to create those rows? Where are we going to plant? How far are we going to separate our seeds? If we're thinking about planting with AI, give me an idea in the chat. How will you use AI to improve planting process?
What do we think? And Annunciation, we can come to you. You can also share in the StreamYard chat if you'd like to come live. If you have any ideas, I can certainly pop you on camera. What do we think? Any thoughts?
Oh, any thoughts on?
On our question du jour? We can come back, give you guys a second to think about it. Let's see. Certainly making sure that plants and seeds are put equally spaced on a large area. Farms these days are gigantic. They're not very tiny. Certainly I grew up in Ontario where you went through all farmland to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Having an understanding of how you could maximize the efficiency of the number of seeds you could put is what jumps to mind for me, Herman. But
That sounds, I think you're on the right track, Jesse.
Perfect.
And what I have here is that we can use AI. And by the way, this shows Jesse's expertise. We didn't plan, he didn't see my slides, and it's to use AI to determine optimal seed placing. So humans and machines can plant at certain intervals, but with AI, we can monitor the soil to make sure that we put the plants maybe farther apart or closer apart, depending on the conditions of the soil. And this can be done with AI reasoning and AI interpretation and an interpretation, that's a new word, interpretation of the soil. So this is really important. Also for planting, instead of having the manual labor, we've been having machines that help with planting, but now these machines can be controlled with AI, where they can learn how the terrain is shifting, adapt, and find the optimal way to spread the seeds. Then let me see. Good. We have a couple students with thoughts. Great. If we have any thoughts, please feel free. Share anytime.
Go for it, guys. Yeah.
Oh, are we going?
Yeah.
Okay, go, Larks.
We can have machines with different roles, and we can code the areas that we want them to go.
Sweet. Thanks, Larks.
Perfect. And then those machines are key. Yes, Jesse.
Oh, we got a second student. Come on up. Yeah.
Mercedes. This is Mercedes.
Hi, Mercedes.
We could use AI to control machines that could feed the animals.
Sweet.
That is fantastic, because then the machines, maybe they can move in different places within the farm and find the closest places where they can provide the food to them. Those were really good suggestions. As you can see, what I'm showing you today is a tiny piece of the potential that AI can have in this field. So we planted our seeds. They're ready to start growing and do their thing. Then if we let them be, that's going to work well, but they work better if we provide irrigation. Plants need water, so we need to provide water. How have we done this in the past? Then we created channels, or we have people irrigating manually. Nowadays, we have long hoses that spread water over long distances, and maybe we have some machines that can help irrigate. Maybe some farmers even use tankers within their tractors to irrigate the fields. Once again, if you have any ideas, how can we get AI to improve that process? Think about the seed idea that Jesse had and now bring it to irrigation.
What do we think? So Cole and Mr. Who's class, welcome in Argyle Center. So they talk about watering plants. Certainly farms have gotten much more efficient at not just spreading a bunch of water that gets evaporated the last few decades. We're getting better and better at that. So maybe a targeted release of water, sort of measuring how the soil is full of moisture, not full of moisture. Just like if you maybe stick a finger in a plant at home to see if it's dry and needs any extra water, you could theoretically have a sensor that monitors, okay, these plants are a little dry. Let's give them just the right amount of water now. That's where my mind goes for something like this. And
once again, I didn't share this with you, Jesse.
You did not. I'm just killing it.
But it's key. And the elements that Jesse is bringing are so powerful. The idea of putting our finger in a plant to see if the soil has enough moisture is what is being done right now, and is being done with drones, with satellite imaging that gets interpreted, and then the distribution of water, as Jesse said, is key, because we want to water the plants only and where it's needed. Saving water, remember last session. If you were in last session, great. If not, I highly recommend you watching the recording and exploring by the seat of your pants with AI and the planet, where we talk about water consumption. But now we're thinking how AI can help save that water, because we're watering the plant when it's needed and where it's needed. And as Jesse said, the fields where food is produced nowadays, they're vast, they're huge, so they have different compositions, different access to water in different places. If we take a look at this image, very likely close to the edge of the mountain, it might be a little bit more moisture in the soil because of the runoff from the mountain. And also, if in one of these places we have a creek, then that area, it also is going to have more access to water. That means that if we give it more water, we're wasting water and we're harming the plant. Then we have Samson says when to use water and how much. Perfect. That's great. We're super aligned. So we planted, we are irrigating. What do we do after? We make sure that the soil is healthy. The soil needs to have the right nutrients for the plants to grow fast and efficiently. And that means we need to fertilize. And traditionally, we had periodical physical samples sent to the labs. How did we do soil health? Then we need to take a sample of the soil, then we send it to a lab, and they will say, this is your soil, this is what you need to add a little bit of nitrogen, you need to add a little bit of this and that, and then we need to send different samples for different places in our farm. But that doesn't happen just like this.
Nope.
It takes time. Yes, Jesse.
I was just going to say, we've got Sydney in Annunciation that has a question, so we might bring her on to chat a little more, see if she has
Please.
Nice.
Yes.
Hi, Sydney.
Hi.
Hi.
Does AI farming take away humans' jobs?
Ooh, it's a big question.
That's a fantastic question. And in a way, yes, the manual labor job, including planting, harvesting, but it's a little bit different than what is happening in other fields. Why? Because farm and food production have a long history of automatization. Oof, that was a hard word, but we kind of handle it. It has been mechanized for a long time. What does that mean? That many years ago, to plant, you needed someone to go and create a channel to plant the seeds and to move the soil. Then we have tractors that did that. Then we have tractors that could be automated, so they run on a straight line. And then now AI is bringing that and make it a little bit faster, a little bit better. But in the scale that is happening is very different than in other industries. So the short answer is yes, but there are caveats. Perfect. Good. We have a question in YouTube. Let me see. I don't think we will need AIs. Yes?
And we can always take the bigger questions at the end. We can get through
Okay.
and take some of the big ones at the end, Herman. Yeah. That's
Perfect. Thank you, Jesse. And then that way you don't see me squinting trying to read everything. Good. So what we have here is that what AI is providing via, once again, drones, sensors, Internet of Things, maybe you have heard of them. These are tiny sensors that can be disseminated or distributed or placed across the farm, satellite imaging, and then it helps with that analysis to be done faster and to be done with many different places within the farm. And that means that we're applying less fertilizer, and then it saves money to the farmers. And then we have unnecessary fertilizer not being part of the food that we eat. Then it's healthier food for us. It's opening lots of possibilities. Now we have plants fighting with plants. That's what nature does. They're trying to see who is going to take control of the land. And we also have creatures that want to eat the plants that we're planting. How do we help there? We have lots of manual labor that was hard. You need to be bending and picking individual little pieces. And if we were not doing the manual labor, you were doing mass spraying of pesticide, of insecticide, of different things on the food that can be detrimental to human, and that is also expensive for the system. It goes back to the same idea. Now we can use drones and we can use modified tractors that can go across the farm, and with computer vision and an AI vision can detect where are different plants that need to be sprayed with pesticide, or some of them they even shoot a small laser on them in order to only affect those tiny spaces. This results in much less use of pesticide, healthier food for us, and less expensive food for to produce for the farmer and for us to pay for. I'm going to continue. We're going to go with some of the questions after you tell me when you want, Jesse. And
Absolutely.
Then
We're going to keep all the questions. And by the way, Annunciation, we'll come to you guys live when we do Q&A. Our YouTubers,
Yes.
you guys can share in the chat. We're going to take all these in about 10 minutes, okay?
Because those are great questions.
Yeah.
And I just want to cover, because there's so much that I want to present. I want to see many more questions. So we planted, we water, we took care of pest control. Now we need to harvest. We need to go and take that out. And it goes with the question of taking people's jobs. This is also a very hard job. It's specialized depending on the type of crop that you have. For example, for coffee has always been harvested by humans, because the plant is going to have some coffee beans that are ready to be harvested, but it's going to have many that are going to need weeks. So it needs the human to do this manually. But now, if we have AI harvesters that can determine what can be taken out now and what later on, that helps greatly the process. And these activities provide jobs that are being displaced yet, but they don't use that much people as they used before, as we said it in the previous question. And then we have a representation of those things that are very important. Satellite imaging, how those satellites are helping track what is happening within the farms. Within these vast farms, instead of irrigation, soil health, and all the other parameters, maybe the growth of the plant can be determined, and then you can see, oh, this batch is growing a little bit slower, can we fertilize it? And then we use the Internet of Things, tiny devices that talk to each other and form a network that help the farmer better understand the production of the food they're making. Drones heavily used in what we're saying in the process of irrigation, pest control, and harvesting. There are drones, there are some videos you can find on the internet that drones are doing the picking of different vegetables and fruits, and for weather prediction. So this is only farming. We're going to do shorter ones for the others, because if not, we're going to stay here until tonight. I'm happy to talk until tonight, but we need to have our resources a little bit better spent and used. Now, we farm these things, we harvested, now they need to be inspected and processed. That means that we need to check that if these peppers are looking good for consumption or they're not good enough, what do we use them for? And do we need to clean them? Do we need to package them? Do we need to cut them? How are we bringing this to the consumer? And the evolution over time, it goes with what we said. First, it was manual when we were doing all the process. Then it has been mechanized. Lots of machines are supporting this process for many years, and then automated, not only mechanical, but then automatic processes where you have these big warehouses that are processing the fruits or the vegetables that we are going to consume. Now, AI. How does AI help this process? So, if we are going to use AI in one field, is to predict. AI can help predict which items will stay freshest the longest. Why is this important? If I'm producing apples, Why will it be good for me to know which apples are going to last the longest and which ones are going to last the least amount of time? I want you to think about that. You can put it in the chat or just think about it. It's an interesting question. I'm going to give you a few seconds. I hope you're formulating ideas. Jesse, do you have an idea?
I'm just saying, we're thinking. All our classes are starting to put things in the chat, which is great. And I want to stress for our YouTubers, you guys have been fantastic in the chat at putting ideas for all these things. So keep those coming. I know for time's sake, we might go through these, as you said, a little bit faster, but we'll leave our classes to have thought about that as we go on to the next part. Herman?
Perfect. And the idea is that we want to predict what apple is going to last longer, because that apple I'm going to ship the farthest, I'm going to ship it last. Then this is helping us having fresh food that is not going bad and is helping the farmer, once again, save resources. And for this, AI can create digital twins. What does this mean? It can create an AI version that lives in the computer of that fruit. And then it can estimate how long it's going to last, what things influence it. It can detect gases coming out from the fruits to determine the level of ripeness and if they're rotting, and it can do visual scans. What else can we do? It can help sort by size, by color, and by quality. And this is done with AI-supported vision systems. I encourage you at some point to take a look at an AI sorting machine online. They go so fast. It's milliseconds how fast they go on a conveyor belt, and they're being selected by size, by color, and by quality. And the other one is that it can detect if one of these fruits is going bad. Is it rotting or is it unhealthy? And it has something that is an e-nose that is detecting element gases and is predicting which ones and when are they going to go bad. Very interesting things that can help us have fruit fresher and better for longer. Now, sorting. I mentioned sorting a little bit, and imagine the example I was saying. If we have all these lemons, how do we sort this? By hand will take so long, but with AI support, it's going to be faster. Now, I have an activity for you. We have 4 items, and the items have qualities. Imagine these lemons and limes. We want to say some of them are perfect. Some of them are slightly bumpy, so they don't look that nice. Some are tiny, too tiny, and some of them are rotten. I want you to put in the chat, how will you pair these items with these descriptions? So I want to see, for example, 1C, 2B. I want to see how do you pair these items.
What do we think? And again, welcome into Katie, Ms. our Argyle Center crew, Samson and Andrea. Annunciation, what do we think? I'm going to start slowly by saying that we do not want the rotten ones around other food. So I would say 4B is one of the best ones, because if we have rotten things, they can make other things rotten if they've got some sort of fungus or something that's on them that's making them rotten.
Fantastic. Bingo. And we have, Samson says 1C. Let's take a look. Perfect items, fresh produce, section at the store. Fantastic. What is perfect looks beautiful. So when you go to the store, you're finding those. So we have those 2. What about slightly bumpy and very small? We have 4B.
Yeah.
Rotten. That, yeah.
Nice.
You agree? That's very good. Jesse and Samson are a line that is really good. Let's see if it's very small. What do we do? Do we do pie filling, or do we do applesauce juice or dry snacks? Samson says 2A, slightly bumpy, pie filling, perfect. That sounds really good.
We had a mix. So Mr. Hooks said the opposite. They said the 2 and D, so they think slightly bumpy for applesauce. Those are a bit trickier than the other 2.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more subtle. Oh, now they're coming everywhere. We have an envelope of answers. So this is really important. And we see how AI is helping save food. Because otherwise, if farms don't have the capacity to sort these things out, you know what's happening with these elements? They're being thrown away. And that's food waste. We're going to talk about that shortly. So we plant, we process, we need to have transportation and logistics. And we had already someone that said this is going to be key. This is a key element. What are the considerations? If we're transporting, hopefully not in a van that looks this beautiful, but maybe it might be the case, but we need to make sure that the temperature is correct. If it's too hot or too cold, it might damage some type of vegetables or fruit. Some of them need colder, some of them need hotter. What's the weather like? How does that influence what we're doing? The timing. How far is it going? How long ago did I harvest and process? Then how much time do I have left? And fuel, how can I make sure that I use the least amount of food? So to transport, temperature, AI is helping in different ways. One of them is that it can monitor the temperature of the room or the truck or the plane or the place that is being used to transport the fruits and vegetables that we're seeing today, and is smart enough to detect what is the cargo being transported. So it doesn't need someone to say, oh, these are strawberries, or these are watermelons, or these are lettuce, or it knows what it is, and it's smart enough to know what is the temperature range that it needs to be in. And then if something happens, it can start a series of processes that is going to ensure that the temperature is consistent. Really important. Traffic, we all use it. When we're going to go somewhere and our parents, they put on their GPS, where are we going? So it helps us get there, and it accounts for traffic. The shortest distance between two locations is not always the straightest line when we're talking about driving or flying or taking a ship. It has to do with congestion. What is the best path to get there? And AI has been supporting food and us for many years. Weather forecasting is key for all the steps, from planting to harvesting to shipping. If we're shipping, once again, the 2 points are not the fastest on a straight line, but if we have to go through the mountains and there's risk of a storm that is going to jeopardize the trip, it might be better to take the long way around. And AI supports with this. Timing, we saw it before. Which ones need to be shipped and distributed first, and which ones can wait a little bit longer. Once again, AI is helping support this process of logistics and fuel. Key element. What is the best ratio of weight and distance that I can send the product by consuming less fuel? Saving fuel, saving emissions for the environment, and saving food for the people that are distributing and transporting. We're almost there. Global impact. There are so many more things that we could talk about food, the way that the food is being engineered in order to resist pesticides, to be more resistant to droughts and to floods. All these things can be explored. The way that it gets to our plate, the way that it's being carried and taken care of in the supermarket, and the way that you and I can also use AI to plan our meals in a way that we use everything we have in our fridge, from meal planning to taking a photo of the fridge and saying, what can I cook with this? I don't know what to do. Give me ideas. But let's see what is the global impact that is being presented with AI in the food production. So, potential things that it is helping and it can help with. It can help reduce water use. We saw that with the irrigation. And that's a key element. We saw that it uses a lot of water for cooling last week, but then now we know that in another side is helping protect water sources for water production. Reduce pesticide use. Key words, we're reducing pesticide use, helping save resources and make it food more healthier for us. It reduces fertilizer use, reduces land use. Key element. When we use less land, we have more land to have trees and nature environments for biodiversity to thrive and to help support the ecosystem. It reduces food waste, key element, and it helps increase food production. The world is growing. We're still growing as humanity. We're bound to grow to 10 or 11 billion. We need to have food for these 11 billion people. Right now, we're producing lots of food, but we need to find better ways to distribute it. And that's all that I have for you today. There are so many more things and really cool statistics about food waste that I invite you to explore and see how AI can help.
Herman, thank you so much for the deep dive. First time doing a program quite like that. And as we said at the beginning, if you want to check out the rest of the Digital Moment series, you can check out our YouTube channel. They're all there, very easy to find. Can't encourage you to do that enough. Annunciation asked a question a lot earlier in the program. So Scotty wanted to know, how is fertilizer made? And I love this question. It's one of my very favorite ones. So I have a bit on this. I'll leave it to you to start and we'll go from there.
Perfect. I'll start, but I heard you know a little bit more, so I'll lean on your expertise. But the way that fertilizer is made is that when we plant, different plants need different supplements in order to thrive and to live properly. And then the way that fertilizer is made is by combining the elements that the plant needs. That will be a chemical addition of elements in order to produce fertilizer. There are other ways that you might be familiar with, is as composting, when we have different food and different leftovers, that they decay and they form material that is going to provide nutrients to the plant. Jesse, help me.
I love this because as a scientist by background, scientists consider this the greatest thing that people have ever done with chemistry. Like, we can literally create plant food out of the air. And because of that, there are 8 billion plus people on this planet. Like, we literally would not have had the food to support the population on Earth we had were it not for chemists' ability to create plant food out of the air. So that's how we make fertilizer. It's something called the Haber-Bosch process, which is something you'll cover a lot later in your school careers, but super, super cool. And I love it as our first question. Another question, I'm going to head to you guys live so you can ask one on camera. Come on in and take us away, guys. Hey.
This is Nalawi.
Hi, Nalawi.
Can you
Suggest.
Can you suggest good videos or websites so we can explore more?
Yes, awesome question, man.
Yes, and I will start with resources by Explored by the Seat of Your Pants. I know Jesse has done many things around this, and I will go. When I was researching and finding documentation, I can share some with you later on. I have them in my notes, but there's a lot of fantastic information from the United Nations. That will be one that I will look for first, and I'm going to see if I can find some quickly that I have on my notes.
You can email this all to us later, and we can pass it on to all our classes. And for AI stuff, digitalmoment.org is fantastic. Like, Herman's not saying this because he's being humble, but like, really great resources on the website for the organization we're partnering with. And if you're keen on more for food, United Nations is great, and we can pass along a little bit more as well. Some of it is beyond a grade 5 level, but that's okay. Your teacher can help you understand it. And Herman, please do get me that list and I'll pass it along to our classes.
What I'll give to you, I'll give you the whole slide deck with the speaker notes where I have all the sources, and then that can help the teacher provide more background.
Amazing. Thanks, guys. And we will come back to our class live in a second. We'll take a quick one from YouTube. Katie's in Nicaragua. She wants to know, how can we balance the use of AI in order to not take the manual work that humans could work at? So how do we make this efficient while not making it so efficient that we exclude people from the equation? Sort of the big question with AI.
That is a fantastic question, and there are different approaches and there are different ways of answering. I'm going to start by answering a very limited one within the food that we produce and consume. I will say that this is one of the areas that, because of the need of a growing population and to ensure that we're feeding each other, then the I'm not going to go with that word again. Automatizing the process and helping it with AI is where the displacement of certain part of work can be most critical for the future of humanity. But I really love your question, and we need to be very mindful and use AI as a tool for us, especially now that you're in school. How can you use AI to help you learn more things, but for you to keep control of the things that you're doing and how you're doing?
The most important message of all, something that we cover in every single program with Digital Moments. So thanks, Katie, for that great question. Enunciation, there's so many of you, and we only have a few minutes left. So what I'm going to do is we'll take one question live, and then please do email me the rest of them. I'll pass them to Herman. We'll get you extra answers when this broadcast is done. We already have more questions than we could possibly take in one broadcast, which is the best problem to have. I love that you're all so curious. So we'll do one more with you guys, and then we'll wrap up from there. Come on in. Take us away. Hey.
What if the AI runs out of power and water?
Yes.
Fantastic question. Such an important question. And it addresses what we talk about on the planet and the need to find ways for it to use less water and to power it more efficiently. So let's leave for what happens if we run out of those. We'll consider that in a second. But let's focus on what is being done right now and needs to be done. We need to make AI use less water. How can we do that? By having the data centers, the computers that process AI in places that are already cold, so that we don't need to cool them that much. It needs less water. First way. Second way, we need to find different ways of creating and running AI systems that are less efficient. They use less computer power, so we don't produce that much heat. And then the other one about electricity is that we need to focus on powering AI systems with clean energy sources. Solar, wind, hydro, things that are renewables, that we are not adding more CO2 to our environment, and we're not using perishable ways of producing electricity. Now, those are the things that are being done and need to be done. Let's think. We run out of water. We run out of electricity. What do we do? It's going to be a hard transition. It's going to be scary. I don't think it's going to happen. But the way that I like to think about it, we've done it before. We didn't have AI to do all these things certain years ago. We didn't have ChatGPT or Gemini 3, 4, 5 years ago. So we've done it. It can be done. But the key part is to keep evolving, to keep improving, so that we don't find ourselves in that situation.
Geez, that was very nuanced. We covered a lot of ground there, Herman. Thanks for the expertise, the passion, all of it, as always, in this amazing Digital Moment series. I wish we could go all day. You said you have stuff to talk to us all day. And maybe next time we'll have to change our whole organization so we can just talk for 5 hours straight. But I know some of you have to go to your next period in a minute. So a big thank you to all our classes for joining us today. Please stay tuned. Send more questions. We'd love to pass them along and get you all those cool answers. And do check out digitalmoment.org to learn more. Check out the other broadcasts on our YouTube channel. And we hope you'll tune in for more in the weeks and months to come. Herman, as you know, we're going to bring in all our classes to say a big thank you and farewell. So enunciation, if you want to scream and yell and say goodbye, YouTubers, you can join me in saying farewell. Farewell for now, guys. Thank you so much.